real.
Because something that was left for more than 10 years, nobody's attending to it, and you are coming new, was very problematic. So the first year's target was very disappointing. But for the heart of the project coordinating unit, to keep on exploring and adapting, they would have closed the project in the first year. That was around 2016 thereabouts, 2015, 2016 thereabouts. But fortunately, the courage to tweak and turn things around and see what to do actually brought in a total reorganization of the approach. How the subsidy, first the subsidy was 50%.
Okay.
You take, if a toilet was, let's say, 4,000 cedis, as they started with, the households were supposed to contribute 50% and the project to contribute 50%.
Okay.
For 1 year, out of the target of about 5,000 toilets they were expecting, I think they just built like 200.
So
Which means,
let's put it into perspective.
Yes.
The 50% we are talking about here, how much was the figure? How much was
2,000 Ghana cedis.
And so a household had to cough up 1,000 Ghana cedis.
2,000. That's 50%.
Okay, the toilet was 4,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Sure.
So you have to now cough up your 2,000.
Okay.
Very juicy. In fact, you can go outside. If you go outside, that toilet will probably be about 6,000 or 7,000, because, you know, for the market. But because it was on large scale, the project was able to negotiate and bring down the price to that 4,000. But out of that, you pay half and the project also pay half.
Mr. Poya, we are speaking about low-income households.
Yes, so that's what we are also talking about. We are not talking about rich people. And after 1 year, I would say only 200 households were able to access. And that made it clear that the 2,000, the 50% was still expensive.
Sure.
So now they had to bring it down a little lower to 30%, and then the project will take 70%. So that now meant that your 30% will just be about 1,000 or 1,001 in those days. Where you have, if you don't have a room at all, the room, the water closet, the digester, everything which is ready for you to just enter and start using your toilet. So you are just to pay 1,001, and then the project will pick up the balance of the 4,000. If you already had your room, and it was just left with, let's say, fixing a toilet seat, the digester, which are the big chunks of the cost. Because to dig a manhole, you even pay more than 4,000 today, even in those days. But because of the project,
and that will even be for paying the person who is going to dig the hole for you.
And then after that, the materials and everything will come in. So after that, when they now reduced, and then they also tweaked the delivery model from, let's say, community-based, small-scale sub-project implementers to bigger sub-project implementers who could organize materials, because the contractor or this SPI, let me use SPI, sub-project implementer, who in code will be equal to a contractor, but not a contractor in this case. You have to pre-finance all the inputs and the materials,
the sub-project
implementer, except the contribution that the household is making in advance. That's what they pass to you. You have to add up all the money and make sure it is completed. They come to certify, take the locations, take the pictures, then they are sure that it is quality. The person will start using before you are now reimbursed your cost.
Oh.
And even that one said, when they reimburse you, they are reimbursing only 75% of the subsidy. And after 3 months, if they go back again and it is intact, no cracks, the user is still good, fixtures are not breaking, before you are paid the remaining 25%.
But was it attractive for SAP project implementers to get on board, looking at what you had to go through to even get your money back?
Yes, it wasn't attractive. It appeared not attractive, but what made it attractive was the fact that the technology that was being introduced, which is a digester,
was a new thing.
It's a new thing, and people were eager to be part of that change. So even if the money financially didn't make good sense, the fact that the digester is coming, and indeed the digester has come to stay, because in the next 20 years, the language we are talking about is going to be digester. It's no longer the traditional manhole. You dig it half of this room and flush. Sometimes it's full. Every year you dislodge. So that was one motivation. Then the other motivation was the fact that, the prestige of saying I have implemented a well project, and the kind of training and capacity building that you receive. Because the first year of implementation, we all saw what the inputs that the project was putting in. I'm associated with World Bank. I can put in my profile that I've ever implemented this. Right. The capacity building, the trainings. So that one was also one of the motivations. But financially, if you were working good, like you are fast, you are doing your work well, you are dealing with numbers. If you have thousands of them to build, no matter how small you make on each, at the end of the day,
you get something,
you can patch a hole.
Right.
So yes, they were working, and I'm just saying that from that second year to the fourth year was like a miracle. Everybody was busy, because now they got the model right, the supervision was okay, the payment arrangements were delays, SPS will even keep a long term, that was reduced from over 3 months to like 3 weeks. 3 weeks, if they certify your toilet, you could be paid. Of course, sometimes there are occasional hiccups. So this is what actually caused the success of the project, that we now saw, instead of 200 per annum, within the next 3 years, we moved from the 200 now to over 30,000 toilets, which means an average of more than 10,000 toilets per annum by the time the project ended officially in 2020,
right.
2020, let's say 2020,
2021.
Yes. Now, if you look at that rate of coverage, you may not appreciate it, but if you look at what goes in to even get one toilet completed, all these processes working and the coordination going on, it will amaze you that this achievement is probably one in West Africa in terms of the scale, the quality, and the success rate. So that is what actually, and that one was backed by a grant. Remember it was a grant from the World Bank that was dealing with water. Some was going to drainage, some was going to wash facilities. When I say wash, water and sanitation facilities in schools. And then that was just a small component that they cut out for the household toilets. So it is that resounding success that the government and the stakeholders now even felt, look, we can borrow. We don't need grants to implement this, because people were afraid of subsidies because of the issues that I just mentioned. But once we have been able to model and figured out how we have been able to navigate through the difficult issue of subsidies, no abuse, you cannot see a single toilet which is on record that you can prove. Unlike previous subsidies, you go and do 10 toilets and come and bill for 81 toilets. And once we can see that if you go to any toilet that they provide, the person will fall within the target group in terms of the characteristics the low income households. You will not find anything outside that.
Right.
It's a big achievement, not only for Ghana's wash sector, but I can drive this whole discourse within the African continent that is struggling with how to deal with sanitation for very poor households. That is not to say it is a panacea. Definitely there are challenges, and the challenges, that toilet that we have talked about, it has moved the percentage of people who previously couldn't even acquire a toilet, not financially, technically, because of the land available, because of the nature of the soil. If we had, let's say, 80% of the area that was not suitable for that, the manhole toilet I'm talking about, this toilet has been able to reduce that drastically to a level that if you have something equal to this space you are setting down, you can fit your digester, which previously was unthinkable. There's no way you can think. But a land of the digester doesn't occupy a size more than the size of this table. Okay. Even with the soak away that we have now added in Kumasi, to take away the wastewater is still very small.
Right.
So that in the urban areas, there's just no way you can allow that to people themselves or the open market to deal with it. They can't deal with it because it's not about selling alone. Apart from the selling, the municipalities are doing a whole lot of work. They are negotiating. There are conflicts. The assembly will go in to negotiate. Even if this is in your land, there are. I mean, in the area that Skyfox is working in, my organization is working in, we have had situations where somebody in the household goes to pay for a toilet. At the time of construction, another household member comes to stop. That this is my land, this is not your land.
Okay.
The assembly now goes in to mediate. And some of them say that thing has been going on for 7 years. Some don't even speak to each other. Through this toilet, we have a lot of social renewal that people are now compromising. And one particular case, which is so pathetic, was a daughter and a mother who never spoke to each other for more than 7 years because of a dispute over a small
portion of land that the digester will be
But KMA, Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, actually moved in when we had the problem. Within 2 months, it was resolved. And now they are together.
Mr. Poya,
yes.
Does it mean that the Kumasi project is not being financed under the World Bank grant?
That one is not. It's on the Kumasi project is a loan. So we're now moving from a grant, and the phase 2 one we are now packaging. That one is not a loan, but it's still World Bank. But when I say a loan, it's still like it's part of what we call official development assistance. Okay. But it's not like the loan I go to a commercial bank here to collect with the kind of interest rates that are so killing. This one is next to interest-free loan, but of course you will pay back.
That the households are taking to pay you?
No. The households is still subsidized, but government will absorb it. Government is absorbing that repayment, which I think is a good thing because loans that we collect, sometimes you may not physically link your personal benefit to that particular loan. But in this particular case, an individual can link your personal benefit to this kind of loan.
So the SPIs are rather contracting the loans?
No. The government of Ghana has contracted a loan from the World Bank, from which they are now using to finance the subsidy component, the whole project.
I understand.
So that is the arrangement. So for the household, it's free. Whatever small contribution you make, that is your contribution. The subsidy I'm talking about, you're not going to pay back that subsidy. It's just the initial contribution of right now. If you have your toilet already there and you just want the digester and the toilet seat, you pay 7 cedis.
In Kumasi?
In Kumasi. You pay 7 cedis today, despite all the inflation. Every day you go to market, they say things are increasing. The toilet is the only one that whatever price they were told in the beginning is still the same price that they're paying today.
So if you have your structure, then a person who is coming on board is expecting the basin, the
hand washing basin, the toilet seat, the flush. In fact, not the ordinary toilet seat. This one, they will tell you that the project seat, they don't want the one that you use the handle, you flush with the handle because it breaks easily.
The one you push?
Yes. The one they call the press couple.
Yeah.
And the press couple, 2 piece. That means one sitting on the other, not one single piece that is difficult to repair. The standard, even though we are targeting low-income households, I tell you, it is like, something that any person anywhere is aspirational. You don't say because they are poor, let's just give them anything for them to manage. It is very aspirational, and it is as standard as any toilet that any person fit in the house.
Right.
Yes.
How do we define the low-income households? Because I may not be rich. I've been able to build a 2-bedroom apartment for my family.
Yeah.
Can I acquire this toilet facility?
First and foremost, and that is one of the important things I forgot to mention when I'm talking about the difficulties of the targeting. How to target has been a challenge in globally. That means testing to identify that this person is poor. There are 2 methods, 2 steps that we identify the poor. First and foremost, the community in which you live. We can say a larger threshold of the population there is considered poor. It doesn't mean that if you go in there, you won't see 2 or 3 people who are very rich or super rich. Like if you say Mamobi is part of the project area, it doesn't mean that if I go to Mamobi, I won't see people who are even richer than people living in East Legon. But we are saying that a good majority of the people there are below. So first, you must be living in a defined geographical area that is considered low income, as I've talked about. And then when we now get inside, because I just mentioned that some people, even there, may still be rich, add additional characteristics. Yes, your housing structure If you go there and I come and see a glass house with,
Glass
flash
windows.
and, you have your self-compound, you and your family, what shows that you have done all this, but you cannot afford a toilet? So that one, any person seeing it will say that, no, it is just not possible. Some too, yes, they have struggled. They are doing it piece by piece. It's not because they didn't value a toilet, but because there was a public toilet that they were managing. You can look at that situation and say, look, even though you are living in 2 rooms or 3 rooms, looking at the condition of the house, because of the A and the B, we see that, look, there was a struggle. So they have a very clear way of, deciding who qualifies. It's not just about the number of rooms.
Okay.
But the underlying condition is that at least you should have been living in a compound which is shared. Let's say compound house. That is not you alone controlling. But if there are isolated cases where you are alone, they won't say because you are staying alone, it is completely, they will still go in and look at, well, we can balance 1 or 2 to see whether you still qualify.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Boy, as we decide who qualifies and who does not, then the floodgate has been opened for private contractors.
Yeah.
So if I do not qualify, but I feel that the biodigester model is a good one I would want to access in my home, then I may have to go to a private contractor. And that also, we've had issues of people saying they're substandard. How are we able to meet that challenge to ensure that the environment is not destroyed whilst we go about putting up this biodigester toilets?
I think very important question, and to also let our listeners know how important this question is. Even with Gamma, when it started in Accra, all the successful biodigester implementers who were in the system, they were all assembled. You people say you have the expertise, go ahead and build.
Okay.
I can tell you that close to a quarter of those toilets failed.
The private contractors?
No, even those that Gamma put on.
Who trained?
They were trained, they put on the first year.
Okay.
Up to 20% of them failed in terms of functionality, how they are functioning. Either the digester is flooded, so you have to go back and do it. And because Gamma is Gamma, if it fails, you go back and do it. If you have to repair it 3 times, you repair it 3 times until it is okay. And then they pay you your money. But as you said, for a private contractor, if you collect your thing and it is finished, it's you and your God. There's no authority to compel the person to come back. So it's a very important question that needs to be tackled, because the digester has just come. People are taking shortcuts. They don't even have standards. They just have seen that it is being done this way and they go to do it. But it is very technical. It's very if you just miss the dimensions or the calculations by a small margin, it can mean the failure or the success of that digester. So yes, I think there's room for private people to step in. But what Gamma wants to do is to encourage households who have been declared that they are not qualified to still go ahead and pay to the SPI. If you want to protect, there are two ways that you benefit from that. First and foremost, because you are working under a framework, the assembly is to report that somebody has paid fully, so that at least they have that record. In that case, you can also benefit from the quality control. If something goes wrong, you can go and report.
Okay.
The second way is the price they have negotiated. You also get it at that cheap price, 4,500, 5,000.
Right. So if a household pays the subsidy, let's say the 1,300 cedis, does the household has to provide the materials for the construction of the facility?
Look, your 1,003 is finished. No sand, no charcoal, no cement, no nothing. In fact, even if the contractor comes and you are happy and they are lifting things from the car and you want to help, it's your choice. But it is not your responsibility to help lift things from the car to your compound, even though they are coming to do your work. It is total. And anyone who asks for any material extortion, and the person must report to the assembly consent. It is not allowed, and once you pay, you will have to be given your package without any extra cost. But there are situations where the standard that they have prescribed for you, maybe in your case, you need extra work to meet that standard. So for instance, if the charge that they have, the mandate, I mean the design requires that your soak away should not be more than 6 feet away from your place. But within 6 feet, we cannot get a suitable place. And you now have to send that one to like 10 feet. That extra length, that has come to add, you now have to pay for that one. Or there's something that you have to do and it is not part of the work that you were entitled to. So the starting point is you should always ask, what is my entitlement? If I pay the 700, what am I entitled to? So once they say it is this, that, anything within that you don't pay. If something comes extra, you can choose to even go and buy it yourself and come and do. You are not obliged to give money. If they say you need one extra pipe length, you have the right to go and buy the pipe length for them to come and do instead of giving money.
Okay.
But if you decide to give money to them, that's a private arrangement. It is outside the framework of the project.
Right. Mr. Poya, I would want us to go for a quick break.
Okay.
But I would also want you to ponder over, we are saying that the project has been largely successful in the Greater Accra region. How has it impacted on reducing open defecation in the Greater Accra region? Because as we speak, even though the project has been successful, there are many households who do not still have toilet facilities in their homes.
That's true.
And that is a big challenge.
That's
so I would want you to ponder on that whilst we go for this quick break. This is still Wash Hour. We will be back shortly. Please stay tuned.
Nipa biara won a can be a woman. Asofo, teacherfo, chief imam, any akandifo biara ukasa nipa tie. Umie nyina mombodi. Ni yen kasa nkyere ye ho ye ho ni ntu sade ase. Once and for all. Ne beboa ya kasa. Yes ye nyaya. I repeat, we are all at risk.
Today our focus is on the One Household, One Toilet initiative of the Government of Ghana through the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. And I have in the studio Mr. Patrick Apoya, who is a WASH advocate. And I understand now that we have the MCE of Ejeso, Mr. Samuel Odo-Frimpong, on Zoom, and is ready to talk to us about how the project is faring in the Ejeso municipality. The project is now in the Ashanti region, replicated in there, and so we want to know how it is going. Hello, sir. If you can hear me, thank you for joining us on Washa.
Thank you for having me.
Great, good to have you. How is the project faring in the Ashanti region, particularly in your municipality?
Thank you very much for the opportunity given me, and let me greet your viewers as well. Yes, the project is in line with Sustainable Development Goal 6, which talks about water and sanitation and seeks to support low-income communities with portable household toilets. So far, Ejeso, among the greater Kumasi municipalities, we are the ones leading. This is because when the project started, we engaged all the stakeholders, especially the honorable members, honorable assembly members, Nananum, religious leaders, and the opinion leaders in almost all the 28 electoral areas. So they were all involved, and then we made it clear to them to understand the importance of the project. Again, we also talked to them about the fact that we are doing that to ensure that open defecation becomes thing of the past. So I can say confidently that, yes, as a result of my hardworking team members, the Ejeso is faring well. Now, over 600 households have benefited from the project and counting. We have registered over 1,000 households, and we want to ensure that by the end of June, over 800 households would have been benefited from the project.
For now, it's 800 households for Ejeso, is that it? What is the target for Ejeso?
Come again?
I'm asking what the target for Ejeso is.
Our target is at least to cover 98% of all the households who need a toilet.
And by 98%, what is the figure?
Yes, you know, it is meant for only low-income communities.
Right.
So I'm talking about all those who are within the bracket and who qualify. And the vision is that among all those who qualify, we'll be able to cover 98%.
And by the 98%, that's what I wanted to know. That how much does it translate into? Are we talking about 1,000 households, 2,000 households?
Oh, we are talking about 2,000 households.
2,000. And so far you have 600.
Yes.
When exactly did the project start in Ejeso?
Around October, November.
Last year?
Last year, yes.
Oh.
We are into the 8th month.
And would you say it's going well for 8 months and you have 600 people subscribing to the facility? Is it going well?
Yes, you know, I've told you that over 1,000 have registered. And because some people register and it will take time, we allow them to pay by installment and all those things. It takes time for them to finish the payment. They are 30% that they need to pay. So I can assure you that with the rate that we are going, we'll be able to achieve our target.
Right. Can you paint a picture for us of just what is the open defecation status in your municipality?
It used to be worse, but I can assure you that as soon as we started this project and the fact that we advised them and then told them the importance of having their own toilets in their own house, I can assure you it has reduced drastically. I'm sure that by the time by completion of the project, there will be no open defecation so far as Ejeso municipality is concerned.
Mr. Frimpong, before this project, how was Ejeso managing the menace?
Yes, you know, lack of toilet facilities was the order of the day. And you go to most of the communities, and both men and women, you see them doing it maybe in the bush or where they have their, let me say, where they dump their filthy whatever. So we talked to them through the honorable members and told them the effects of open. That is the more reason why, as soon as we started this project, they all embrace it. And like I told you, at the moment, it has reduced drastically.
Mr. Friend, purification, I'm sure, is against the sanitation bylaws, and there should be punitive measures for people who indulge in it. And so if people were openly defecating, what were we doing to them? Only talking to them to stop?
No, you know, the environmental, my memo and the team, they've been going around. For those who fall foul of the law, yes, once they are caught, they are dealt with by the law. But it's normally better for you to advise people, for them to know why they shouldn't do what they are doing. So, in as much as we are trying to prosecute those who fall foul of the law, we also advise them to be wary of what they do and embrace the one household, one toilet. And that's what they are doing.
Has the prosecutions been punitive enough to serve as deterrent for others not to go along that same
line? Yes. You know, when somebody is sent to court, the lawyers tell you that yes, it lies in the bosom of the judge going by the laws that prevails to determine which sanctions to be given to the defaulter. So for that, yes, when they go, what they deserve, they get it.
I see. Water is an integral part of this project, and without water, using the biodigester will of course be very difficult. How is access to water in Kumasi? How is the availability going there?
Yes, at the moment, Joso municipality does not enjoy Ghana water and sewage operating water. But most people...
We are losing you if you can reposition yourself.
Their own boreholes and what have you, mechanized boreholes. Go tomorrow again. Please, can you come back? Can you come again?
Please go ahead. We were losing you, so I was cautioning you to reposition yourself.
Oh, okay, yes. I'm saying that Joso municipality does not enjoy Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation supply. Most people have their private, let me say, local mechanized.
I'm sorry, we may have to interrupt you here, so we call you back.
That we are giving them the...
Right, of course, network challenges there. It is to be expected. Mr. Poya, I'll have to come to you in the studio, but before we do that, let's pick some messages. Good evening, Madam Hostess. Please do congratulate your guest for me. He's doing a great work. More grace to him, Reverend Ode. Mr. Poya, this is a pat on the back for you.
Thank you.
Good topic for discussion. Please, how do one get it done in rural areas, farming or village for an individual? 2, how much will it cost? 3, there's a pipe in the village, so he wants to know in his village. I don't know which region you are for now, Accra and Kumasi. I'm sure as the progresses across the country,
so you just be on the watch out.
Right. Then we have another one who says only good evening. Then there is one who says one household, one toilet initiative. How does one apply? Mr. Poya, you may have to touch on that one. I know you have to go to the district assemblies, but please touch on it for the person.
Yeah, actually that's it. Yeah, okay. Just go to your assembly and ask that you are the environmental health directorate or the environmental health unit. Okay. There they will show you where to the officer in charge.
Right, and they pay to, they must ensure that they have a receipt.
Yes.
For the payments that they have.
Sometimes they also move to the community, so you should be on the watch out when you see the public address system, the loudspeakers talking about toilet. You should also try to show up.
Okay, so there are PA systems going around the communities.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a substitute for biodigestive toilets? I don't know what that means, but
no, we only have variants. We only have 3 variants that you can choose from.
Okay.
That is a standard one or a large one. Actually, there are 2 variants of the biodigester. On this project, only biodigester is what they are offering. You don't offer the conventional manhole toilet. The large digester is for households that are more than 10. If you are more than 10, for it to succeed. But if you are less than 10 or up to 10, then you take the standard digester.
Right. Mr. Poy, I understand we have Mr. Crunchy on phone and he's joining this conversation from Kumasi.
Okay.
Mr. Crunchy, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
We have been waiting patiently for you.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Great. You are in Kumasi as I speak.
Yes.
How are residents embracing the project?
Yes, the environmental health officers, the community development officers, even the fire service and the NAPCO officers are all in the community disseminating the information, talking to households about the project, also issuing messages to some of the houses. And so far, I must say that the response has been fantastic. It depends on how far we can go to let everybody within Greater Kumasi go about the project, and then they will definitely come on. As we speak now, this November, we have constructed over 2,000 toilets. But of course, we have 28,000 more to construct. So we have over 10 PA systems mounted on vehicles, moving from one location of assembly to the other, and disseminating information, playing the jingles, playing the songs for the residents. But on the whole, their response has not been very bad. We just have to keep pushing. We just have to encourage the officers to keep going. And I believe strongly that we'll be able to hit the target of 30,000 households that we have set for the project.
That is a huge task that you are undertaking. But is the project running concurrently between Accra and Kumasi, or Accra is not?
No, Accra is still going as we speak now. So in Accra we have contacted over 30,000 toilets already, but it is still ongoing. So on the average, we are constructing about 350 to 400 toilets within Greater Accra, that is the Gamma area. We are focusing on the Greater Kumasi for now. For the demand to this, then we will also start to put in some more fire in the Gamma area to build more. So they are running concurrently. So we have contact numbers for both Greater Kumasi and Greater Accra.
Okay.
So that residents within those camps within these geographical areas can call. And our system is operating very efficiently. If any resident calls, our people are on standby.
Okay.
To come and do the inspection and then go ahead to get the resident to pay, and then the construction is done.
Right. Mr. Panchi, what will be your answer to constructive critics who say that we are hearing of these large numbers of household toilets being built, yet open defecation is still going on?
Oh, of course, of course. Well, we still are hopeful because, you know, the recent data that was released by the Federal Statistical Service indicates that open defecation rates in Greater Accra has increased by close to about 2%. But open defecation rate in Greater Accra is 50%. So it means that what we did in Greater Accra has a very serious impact with the space of just 4 years. So it's not over yet, but it means that we go and be consistently and persistently. We will definitely push to get back the eradicating open defecation within our community. I always say that, I mean, we just have to get the message to the people. Because people who go to public toilets, for example, they know they save money. And even the inconvenience they have in the mind, how would you step to the public toilet? Maybe if you do open defecation along the beach, when some people say that, oh, they enjoy the beach and all that, I think they do exist because they don't pay the tax. But when it is really heavy, how do you walk in the lane to go and today we were in one of the villages and as we were talking, the lady just said, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a car around the system. And then I went to have a few 1 year. So these are real.
All right.
No, they are real.
Right.
So they have an affordable opportunity. They will go for it. And you know, this project also gives people the opportunity to pay in installments.
Right.
So all these opportunities is like for avail to the people. And they're getting home.
Right. Mr. Kwanchi, has there been any initial challenges? That will be my final question to you. Has there been any initial challenges in Kumasi?
For every initiative, when introduced, is expected to come with some challenges. In our project, for example, we need the human resource base within the ability to get. So this human resource base is built to high, and the capacity is built to high. As we speak now, we are actually going to use the guidance of the project builders who have been students to orient them the message that, you know, you need to go to the community and you need to pay some people to do it.
Okay.
And so it is the process of building the capacity of these human resources to be able to do the work.
Right, Mr.
And the reason why we are not only doing the mass is that the capacity of people we must build. And the project like gives them the opportunity to build their capacity. So these challenges are there, but of course, you need to scale them and move on.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kwanchi. We wish you well in Kumasi, and we hope that the project will be successful so we can still replicate it in other parts of the country. Thank you so much. And that was a behavioral change communicator with the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Mr. Kwanchi Adamatete. And in studio with me is Mr. Patrick Apoya. Before I go to him, let's read some messages. Please, when are they reaching Upper East region, specifically Talensi district, as open defecation is common there? Mr. Apoya, definitely we'll get there.
We'll get there. You just
right.
want to look up. But,
okay. I watched a program about the household toilet, of which I want to know how it can be acquired. We've spoken of it, but yes. Before we wrap up, Mr. Apoya will touch on how you will have to get it. My name is Nabil. Okay, Nabil, we'll do that. Upper East region, definitely we will get there. Thank you, GBC, for this educative program. This is great initiative and must be highly recommended. Thank you so much also for watching. And it's time for us to get to our phone line, and I'll announce the numbers shortly. But Mr. Poya, what do you make of what we have heard so far from Joso and then from Mr. Crunchy, who is the behavioral change communicator?
Yeah, I think it paints the right picture on the ground, because I've been there myself, and I know the issues. Somebody may say you are doing 600 toilets in 8 months, but that is very impressive.
Right.
That 600 is equal to what all of Greater Accra, the Gamma municipalities put together, in fact 3 times what they achieved in a whole year. So the it starts slowly, but it will build. And from what Mr. Koranche said, the intensification of the sensitization and the promotion is very key to picking momentum as we go ahead.
Okay.
But the open education.
Mr. Poya, allow me to interrupt you. So I announce the phone line now: 0264 000 997. 0264 000 997. Please do lower the volume of your TV set when you call. Also, please do not call our WhatsApp line. Our number to call is what I'm calling out: 0264 000 997. Mr. Poya, please go ahead.
Yeah, the open defecation menace you talked about is a very serious one. This project is just contributing, but we will also depend on the education and people's attitudes themselves to finish the job. As Koranche said, we have evidence that it has fallen from 7% in Accra to about 4% now, which is very drastic, very, very drastic. The national average open defecation fell from 19% 5 years ago, no, let's say 10 years ago, 19% to 17.7% now. That is just our 1 percentage point reduction in open defecation. But in Accra, we've been able to get about 2 to 3 percentage points reduction, partly because of this, not only because of the, but partly because of the project. And remember that there are other parts, rural Accra is not part of it. It's not every household that has the finance means to uptake it. So let's still push the open.
Okay. Mr. Poya, we have a caller from Cape Coast. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, madam.
Great. Your comment or your question?
Yeah, yes. I would like to learn how to install the biodigester. How possible that?
Right. Mr. Poya will answer you shortly. Thank you so much for your question. Mr. Poya,
yes.
He wants to learn how to do it. Is there an avenue for that?
Yes, there's an avenue for that. I think the best bet would be if you get in touch with the Kumasi or Accra, then the project office can link you to some of the SPIs who are also needing labor. So as you work with them, that is when you actually learn also how to install.
Okay. So it's some sort of apprenticeship, is that it?
Yes, it's a form of apprenticeship, because the SPI is also looking for masons.
Okay.
So once you are in that tanker area, this is the time to enter, when people are looking for masons to support with the construction.
Right.
Yes.
Prosecution is very important to me when we speak of open defecation.
Yes.
Some say we pamper people who flout the law.
Yeah.
Just so MC was telling us that they've been speaking to people. Is speaking enough? Do we need to do more?
Yes. Speaking is not enough, but as you said, we all know prosecution.
Mr. Poya, please hold on to that. We have another caller from Amasaman. Hello, thank you for joining us. Okay. Nibi mantini. Amen. Yasha also. Yente wonka yem se wotie wo ho ana. Ah, yedru amasama ana. Amasama ye bi wo ho.
Amasama kra omukura no mo soropa in the among the Accra municipalities.
Okay.
In the Uncle Assembly no. Yes.
Me patro so what in your can say? O say bi wo amasama enti ko assembly e wo amasama na oni omonko kasa omo be ma obi. Mr. Poya, please go ahead.
Yes. So the enforcement is good, but as we know, there's ethics in everything you do. And the experience is that there are certain offenses that if you just insist on enforcement, you end up hauling only poor people to go and lock up.
Okay.
Because they're the only people who don't have a way to get powerful people to influence and talk for them. And insisting on enforcing to that extent is actually going to be counterproductive.
Right.
And that's why before you enforce, you have to provide alternatives for people.
Okay.
Now, this Gamma project has come. You said you didn't have money. Now there's money. So if you still refuse to go and take the money and provide a toilet, then we know you are intentional about it. It's not because you do not have the means. Okay. So you need to put in certain enabling
Mr. Poya, I'm sorry again.
Yes,
John Seidu from Bolga. Hello, John.
Hello, good afternoon.
Right, all the way from Bolga. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. And there's one thing I'm concerned about, this biodigester toilets. Yeah, good afternoon.
Listening to yourself, so if you could lower the volume of your TV set or even get away from there so we can have a meaningful discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to find out about the wastewater from the digester. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Wastewater from the digester. What do you want to find out about that? How you dislodge it?
You might be in a clay area and the water doesn't soak in the ground.
Okay.
So how do you dispose of that water?
Okay, thank you so much. Stay tuned. Mr. Apoya will answer you shortly. Mr. Apoya, quickly.
Yes, there are certain soils that will not take water. And those soils, when the engineer goes and you are in that category, we don't pretend that the digester can do everywhere.
Anything for
so in certain clay areas or swampy areas, digester is no-go area. We don't do at all. But even if it is partially swampy, then they can do the drain field, which means a long pipe that it will be sprinkling water along the way. I mean, there's a way they construct it in such a way that it will not pollute groundwater and it can be disposed safely. So yes, there are places you can't even install a digester, no matter how small the water is. But in 80 to 90% of the case, we can install a digester, more than the current toilet that can only install in about 70% of the case.
So in places where the water is leaking, do they have to dismantle the digester?
It's leaking in which way?
Which, as he's saying, where children are playing, maybe you see that it is coming out of the sewer line, or is that not?
No, this one, it can't happen like that. Okay. For a digester, he's talking about sometimes the place is clayey or the place is swampy.
All right.
How will you dispose of the water that you are flushing?
Okay.
Yes. That's counted the digester.
Right. There is a question here. Have the program completed in the Greater Accra region? I want one at my home, Bebe is area. Currently, I'm using KVIP. Bebe is where is that?
Bebe is do you know the area?
No, I don't.
Which municipality is that?
He will have to come back and
you have to come back.
But definitely it should be
so
in the
long
Greater
as
Accra
once
region.
it is within the Greater Accra, the urban area, definitely is qualified.
All right.
He or she can get.
Right. Mr. Pa, you were on about the prosecution bit, the fact that...
the prosecution, all I wanted to say was that the law also has a face. And when there is an element of unfairness on the part of certain people, it is difficult to push the law. Because for tenants, the fact that they don't even own the land, there's just no way they can get it.
They can get it.
So you have to sift through these issues before you can become confident that I am dealing. You see, the objective of enforcement is to reform, not to punish. So if I am punishing you, I'm punishing you, and you don't have any way that you can even install it, then it means we just want to go and imprison you. But that's not the purpose also. But enforcement has to play a role. And I know that in KMA, Kumasi, they are not saying, they are giving people up to a certain point. Now they have an alternative. If you don't take the opportunity, they are going to actually now whip, remove the prosecution whip. And that one, nobody will sympathize with you.
Right.
So this is the time for people to take their toilets before the law catches up on them.
Do we have the MC of Ejiso still on Zoom so he can give us his final comments? If we do not have him, then Mr. Poya, we may have to be wrapping up with you. Your final comment.
Yes.
How do people get access to the toilet facility? How much are they supposed to pay? The information around this, please let us have it so we can wrap up.
So if you're living around Kumasi area or the Accra area, I mean that's the city body, not just the political boundaries. When you pay 800 cedis instead of the 700 cedis. So with this, any person living in Accra and Kumasi, once you are within the low income group, you'll be able to get a very decent toilet for you and your household members.
And so for a household who does not qualify to be from a low income bracket, can the person contact an SPI like you?
Yes,
also
the person is also free to contact.
But the person is not going to pay what the project is?
No, you pay the full cost, which is 5,000 cedis for the stand-alone, which is the complete building and the toilets. Instead of 1,003, you will pay 5,000.
And if the person has the structure and wants only the hand washing,
then you pay 2,600 or 2,800, depending on whether you are less than 10 or you're more than 10.
Okay, for one.
For one.
So if it's a 3-bedroom apartment that has about 3 washrooms in, then we are multiplying that
by 3. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay. And so George, who reached us from Bebe Ise, is telling us that Bebe Ise is around Dansoman Beach area. And so definitely
so they
it's in Accra.
Yes.
So you should look out for your municipal assembly.
Ablekuma
West.
Yes.
Okay.
So if they go to Agege last stop, it's around the Agege last stop area. When you just cross the Las Palmas chopper, that's where the assembly is. They can go and contact them.
Great. Mr. Apoya, thank you so much. You have been of much help to us, giving us all the information we need about the One Household, One Toilet initiative. And it's been spearheaded by the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. If you do not have a toilet facility in your home, please take advantage of this offer. Get to your assembly, pay the amount you are required to pay. There are even facilities for you to pay in installment. So we all stop the practice of open defecation, and then we rid it of our country. And so this is what the conversation actually has been about. And I have been doing this with Mr. Patrick Apoya. He is a WASH advocate. Along the line, we had a behavioral change communicator with the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Mr. Kranchi Adamatete, who joined us on phone from Kumasi. And then we had the Municipal Chief Executive of Edreso, Mr. Samuel Oduro Frimpong, also telling us how the project is faring in Edreso Municipality. Thank you so much for your comments and your questions. We will be back to do it again, same time next week, same channel. My name is Winifred Ofum. Thank you for watching WASH Hour.